guys, I'm back with a really exciting pattern to share with you. This is my contribution to the Mosaic Nordic Cow hosted by Erin Taves at Juniper and Oaks. I have been so excited to get this design going and be able to share it with you. So I've just made a little swatch here, and this is going to be a left-handed tutorial because I am left-handed and I can't just like flip the video and make it look right-handed necessarily. So I will see if I can link to a right-handed version of this, but this swatch here is made from this chart, and we're gonna go through this one by one here. We'll get started. First, you have to learn how to read mosaic charts, and I know it can look super confusing. It took me a few minutes to figure it out. I'm gonna hopefully explain it to you really easily today so that you can join in on all the fun and make your own Mosaic Nordic Cow blanket or any other designs you want with this. So first things first, this is one of those things where left-handed and right-handedness matters when you're reading this chart. For this particular design, it doesn't, only because my pattern is symmetrical and it doesn't have any letters or words or anything that would look funny if it was backwards, much like that. But because I'm left-handed, I'm going to go ahead and read this chart from left to right. And each row of crocheting mosaic is always starts at the left and goes to the right. So there's no switching back and forth, no zigzagging. And another thing, I'm going to zoom in here. So the letters along the edge show you which color you're going to use. So you're going to alternate as you work from the bottom up. Any time there is an X, doesn't matter what color it is, anytime there's an X, that's called a drop down double crochet, and we'll talk about what to do when you see those. Anytime there is a square that is not have an X in it, it is going to be just a regular back loop only single crochet stitch. And let's see, what else do we want to point out? Oh, my chart has these red vertical lines on it. If you notice, I printed off two sections here so you can kind of see the design, but realistically you could just follow along between the red lines. These indicate a repeat, so you could do this whole thing all the way up and repeat this repeat. Every time you get to the end, you repeat it all the way until you've made it the desired number of stitches. And then because we're left-handed, we do the last stitches on the last side of this chart before we finish out the row. If you're right-handed, you're gonna read this chart from right to left every time, and you could still follow this repeat, but as you get, let's say your project calls for let's say like 10 repeats of this or something, or 5 repeats of it, you would do this, the stitches in between the red lines twice, or 5 times, however many times you need to repeat it. And then after you're done with the repeat, you come to the end and you're gonna make 2 more stitches. Another thing to note on the pattern, this is how it looks. This, the ones with the crosses in the end, those are just gonna be a single crochet under both loops. They don't have to be in the back loop. Again, because we're left-handed, even though this chart is kind of written for right-handers, because I know most people are right-handed, you just need to know that the very last stitch, regardless of which way you read it, should just be a single crochet stitch under both loops instead of back loop only. It just kind of helps make your design a little more secure when it comes to the edging. So I think that's about enough of an introduction here. Let's get started. Put my pattern over here. What's not mentioned in this pattern or in the chart is that you do need to make a foundation row of foundation single crochet stitches, and I will link to that video tutorial below if you need to know how to make those. But in color A, because our first row here is in color B, we are gonna make foundation single crochets in color A, which I'm using as cream. Okay, I've got my 53 stitches here, foundation single crochet stitches in the first color, color A, and have your scissors handy, because at the end of every row, you're gonna cut the yarn, probably should, and then fasten it off. Okay, so slide it back to the left. We're always gonna start on the left side. Tangled up here. Okay, now we're ready to dig into the chart. First, I'm gonna go into the top of my foundation single crochet here, the first stitch, and I'm gonna pull up a loop and make a really tight chain to get that tightened down to that first stitch. Following my pattern here. Sometimes it's good to look ahead too, so let's see if we can see all of this in the same picture. Move this up. Okay, anywhere that there is an X is a drop down double crochet. Anywhere that there's not, you're just making a back loop only single crochet stitch, and you're doing it in the same color all the way across. There's no changing colors. Even though the chart looks like you're changing colors, you're actually not changing colors. So I'm within color B here, and I'm gonna start on this first stitch. So I'm gonna make a single crochet in the first stitch. I think I forgot to mention that before. A regular single crochet in the first stitch, and then a regular single crochet in the last stitch. It just kind of makes your work look pretty secure. So if you look at this, the first row, as it always is, should be all back loop only single crochets all the way across, and then at the very end put a single crochet in that last stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and just in here are my V's of the top of my foundation single crochet stitches. I'm just going to insert my hook under the back loop of those all the way across. So just one loop, single crochet in the back loop. Continue this all the way across. Okay, I'm coming to the end, and just like in the first stitch, we're going to single crochet under the both loops of the very last stitch, and then cut your yarn, leave a couple inches, and fasten off, pull that tight. Okay, so this is what we're looking at all the way across. Okay, that is row 1. Okay, here's where the fun begins, row 2 of the chart. So as you look at this chart, again, always single crochet in the front and the last stitch. We're back to color A. Anywhere that there is an X, we're going to do what's called a drop down double crochet, and anywhere that there isn't, just continue with those back loop only single crochets just like we just did in the first row. So put it under both loops. I don't know why this is so hard for me today. Okay, here's my tail. Okay, secure this. All right, first stitch, under both loops, a single crochet stitch to get started. Anywhere that there is not an X, so we're going to count that we already did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to do 9 back loop only single crochets. Number 9. Looking at our chart, here we are. This is our drop down double crochet into the front loop. So the reason why we do back loop only is that when you do these drop down double crochets, we're going to yarn over. I'm going to come directly down to, this is the front loop here. Can we see that? Insert my hook, yarn over. Wait, did I? Yeah. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so this is on top of my green row of color B, and you'll see that's where you see on the chart, move it over next to it here. That's why you see this white box here below, because this is crossing over. Okay, and so that's how we do the drop down double crochet. We're gonna do 2 more back loop only single crochet stitches and then another drop down double crochet. However, you want to make sure that you skip, anytime you do a drop down double crochet, you're not going to do anything to the color that's behind it. So when I do my next 2 back loop only single crochets, you can kind of turn your work over and see where you left. Make sure you skip this stitch, and then I'm going to go into the back loop of the next stitch. Do 2 of these, right? Get me some more yarn. So I've done 2 of those, and then I have another drop down double crochet, so we'll do that slow. Find the front loop down here from the foundation row, yarn over, stick your hook underneath that, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then we just continue on down the rest of the row. We're going to do 3 back loop only single crochets. Some more yarn. And then another drop down double crochet. And here's where you can continue going with the chart, or you can continue this way and then come back to just inside that red line and keep going. It will get you the same results, but we'll keep moving on the chart just so that keeps that consistent. So count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 back loop only single crochets. I've done 17 single crochet back loop only, have another drop down double crochet. So find the loop, insert my hook, yarn over, pull through 2. Then I'm going to skip, or not skip, but I'm going to do 2 more of those back loop single crochets. 1, 2, Then I have another drop down double crochet. And then we're gonna do, what's next? 1, 2, 3. Drop down double crochet. And we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Back loop only, single crochets. Okay, and for your blanket, right, obviously I've got just a swatch here that's only 53 stitches. You're making a much larger blanket, so instead of doing this last stitch here, because here's your red line that says this is where the repeat ends, go back to the previous red line or all the way, doesn't really matter, but continue from there. So you would do 9, and then you could count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, another 8, and you would continue this repeat all the way to the end, which is where I'm at, and then you're going to do a single crochet under both loops. Cut the yarn. Fasten off your end, pull that tight, and check it out. The magic is starting, right? We line these up here with our pattern. You can see where those are kind of starting. All right, let's do the next row together. Row 3. Having trouble apparently getting these first stitches going today. Okay, so just slip knot there. Okay, row 3, first stitch, single crochet into the same stitch where you're attached to your yarn under both loops. Now we have a lot more drop down double crochets getting started, so this will be good to look at this row. So 3 back loop only single crochets, 1, 2, 3, and then we're gonna do 5 drop down double crochets in a row. So this time I'm in color B, so I'm always gonna drop down and pick up the front loop of the green row before. So we're gonna do 5 of these. Yarn over under the front loop, double crochet, 2, 3, 4, and 1 more. Okay, I'm gonna stop here and we'll look. So this is looking really good. We have our 5 double crochet stitches, drop down double crochets, and we have to do 2 back loop only stitches here. So you're gonna look on the back, and we're not doing anything into these stitches. You can kind of line them up to help you get an idea of where you're going. It's also, you'll be able to see with the chart, like, you know that your second one is going to go in the top of this double crochet from the row before, so you can kind of keep an eye on making sure you're in the right stitch. We're going to do 2 back loop only single crochets, then we're going to do another drop down. Okay, 2 more single crochets, in the back loop. And now we're gonna do another drop down, double crochet. This time we're gonna do one back loop only, single crochet, and another drop down, single crochet. Okay, now we need two back loop only, single crochets, and we're gonna do, can you see how it's coming along so far? It starts to look like the pattern. We're here, we're gonna do 5 drop down double crochets. Okay, we did 5. And continue on. So again, with the repeat, I can do 3 and then come back to here to start, or I can just keep reading the chart. So I'm going to do 5 single crochets in the back loop. Followed by 5 more of those drop down double crochets. We've done those 5, so we need 2 back loop only. 1, 2, another drop down. Two more back loop only. And then a drop down, double crochet. And here we are, we've got 1 single crochet and then another drop down double crochet. And we've got 2 single crochets, followed by 5 drop down double crochets in the front loop of row 1. You might be able to tell I kind of like to fold that top, the row below when I'm doing these front loop only. Kind of helps me see that front loop, keep everything out of my way. And here we are coming to the end. So in your blanket, you'll keep going, but when you get to the end, you're going to do 3 back loop only single crochet stitches, followed by a regular single crochet under both loops here. Cut the yarn, fasten off the ends, and slide it back down so we can see. Here we go. It's starting to look really good. How are you feeling? Tell me down below how you're feeling about this mosaic technique. Is this the first time you've done the overlay mosaic? Again, you'll just continue on up the chart. So we did row 3, go back to color A, B, continue on. Every time you see that X, remember it's a drop down double crochet to the row before, to the row below of the same color, and before you know it, let's see if we can get zoomed back out here. You'll have your whole swatch. Thanks for watching this tutorial. Let me know what you think. I'll also link to Juniper and Oaks chart designing course. I'll throw my affiliate link in down there. If designing these overlay mosaic charts is something that interests you, I took Erin's course and I thought it was super helpful. This is my first design made from that, and I'm so excited to be part of this crochet along. I'll also put links to the cal itself, and let me know what questions you have, how I can help, what kinds of tutorials you want to see next. Thanks, guys.